Hey guys, and welcome back to A&J Education YouTube channel. In today's video, we're talking about studying humanities at Cambridge University in the UK. So if you're thinking of studying at Cambridge, you're thinking of humanities, keep watching because this will be very useful. Right guys, well, please join me in welcoming Georgia back in the studio.
Hi.
Hi Georgia. Georgia, why are you qualified to talk about studying humanities at Cambridge?
Well, I graduated in June from Cambridge with a BA in Asian and Middle Eastern Studies. So I spent 4 years in Cambridge, and one of those years was on my year abroad in Egypt. And I studied Russian and Arabic.
Nice. Okay, and what makes Cambridge humanities, teaching different to, let's say, other universities?
So Cambridge teaching in general is really special, and the supervision system really sets it apart from other universities. So supervisions are like really small focus groups that you get for every subject at least once a week, where you get to collaborate with your peers and with your lecturers or your supervisors, as we call them, and you really get to just talk about what you've learnt that week, any ideas that you have. You get to go through your essays, and it's like a little think tank which really allows you to explore any challenges or any questions that you have. So I found that really, really useful when writing essays and when actually just broadening my knowledge about general subjects. They were really invaluable.
And Georgia, it sounds like the teaching is very different because normal university wouldn't have these two students on one academic meeting. So it sounds a lot more intense than a typical university or a typical high school environment where, you just have 20 kids at class and you sort of put your hand up and then you do an exam at the end of the year.
They might sound intense, but actually I found them very relaxed, and they're a space where they encourage you to get things wrong. They encourage you to make mistakes and think aloud so that you are ready for your exam in the end. So it really is a place where you can make mistakes, and I felt really comfortable doing so. And quite often your supervisors are master's students or PhD students, so they're not that much older than you, and they've been through the same process as you. They've been through that Cambridge experience. They've had their own supervisions. They've had their own supervisions when they have done the essay and when they haven't done the essay. So they understand all the anxieties you might feel, and actually I've really valued my supervisions to make those mistakes, so I didn't in the end.
All right. And Georgia, what's typical workload like? Because you have a relatively short academic year. You have 3 8-week terms, if I'm correct. So you've got 24 weeks of contact time per year. And how many supervisions do you have during that time? How many lectures? How much homework do you have?
So it varies subject to subject, but for humanities in general, you have fewer contact hours, meaning lectures, seminars, and supervisions. You have fewer than for engineering or medicine, for example. But because you have more time to yourself, you have more homework, I would say. So typically, it varied year to year throughout my degree, but typically I would have around 20 contact hours a week, being lectures and seminars and supervisions, which isn't that much across the 5-day week if you really think about it. And then outside of that, I typically had 1 essay per paper, and I had about 5 papers per term. And those essays, you would have 2 weeks to do them. So it is quite a lot, and it is quite intense, but because it's only for 8 weeks, you really do have those holidays to decompress. And what is great about Cambridge is you have your own tutor and you have your own director of studies. So they are in charge of you personally, your pastoral care, your academic care. You can go to them if you need help with funding. You can go to them if you are having problems at home or problems in your college, or you just want a bit of a break. And they have the power to write to your lecturers and write to your supervisors and say, hey, Georgia's not doing the essay this week. No questions asked, and that is fine. You will not be expected to do the essay.
And you don't have to tell your life story to your
No,
lecturer.
of course not. No. So they keep things private if they need to be private, and your director of studies and your tutor, they have authority, so they can make those decisions on behalf of you. And I found that even though the supervisions required quite a lot of work, that actually, because nothing is assessed at Cambridge until your sort of finals in your final year, that it doesn't really matter if that essay is not great. It doesn't really matter if you misunderstood the question or you didn't do the required reading that week. If you just needed to blow off a bit of steam and relax, it doesn't really matter for 1 week, just as long as you keep up in general with your work.
Cool. So, it sounds like because of these frequent contact hours that you don't get at a different university, if you're, basically taking the piss or, not really putting in effort without a good reason, you will be found out pretty quickly. So you don't have that many places to hide.
I would say that suggests that the experience is not very friendly or approachable. And actually, I did find that despite the fact that it was academically challenging, I can't lie about that, I did get a lot of opportunities to do things other than academic work. I was on the university cheerleading team for 4 years, and that was a big commitment as well. I tried out college rowing. I did some singing with the college jazz bands. So you do have time to do other things if that's what you decide for yourself. And I managed to keep up with my work. I did well in my degree, and I managed to also get personal fulfillment at the same time. So I would say that even though Cambridge seems this really scary place and you're not allowed to have fun and all you've got to do is work, that's just not true anymore. And your lecturers and your tutors and your director of studies, they want you to have a good time and they want you to be happy, and that is the most important thing.
Sounds great. So, it sounds like if you're interested in an academic challenge, that could be actually a great place for you, because yes, you have a lot of study to do, but also if you hit your goals, you've got the time to, for downtime and social life and
absolutely,
all of that. Georgia, final question as we're rounding this up. What advice can you give to applicants who maybe come from schools that do not have, they don't have many resources to support students through the process, don't have many role models? How can these applicants beef up their CV? Create opportunities to put in their, things to put in their personal statement. How do they go about that?
So I would say the key to a good personal statement is writing something interesting. Now that might sound really obvious, but it's actually quite hard to do. If all you've been doing is following your high school curriculum and your syllabus, and you might be doing well at school, but you're not necessarily getting that extra training or resources that other students might get, go on the internet, look up your course, look up the professor of that course, find out what their specific research interest is, and you could write about that, because likelihood is they'll be the ones that are interviewing you. Or look up the syllabus for first year at Cambridge for history or geography or whatever you're applying for. Look at a text that you are going to study if you get in. Read it and write about it, because that can show that you are above your current level, you're already looking at first year material, and that you've actually done the work, you've done the research, and it allows you to write about something really specific rather than making vague statements about your passion and how much you love the subject.
Cool. Georgia, that's great. Well, guys, I hope you found this useful. I definitely did. So if you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to our channel. It would really help us, as we invest a lot of time and effort into making these videos as useful to you as possible. But for now, please join me in thanking Georgia.
Thank you.
Thanks, Georgia. And all the best to you.